Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about my Scouting America sales project. My name is Maddie Salati. Some of my prior experience coming into this was I did an internship at a family business, and it was in mattress sales. So I was out on the floor. I got to meet sales reps and do stuff like that. I also have done little retail jobs in between, but other than that, I did not have much in the way of cold calling or finding prospects through email. So that was all new to me. And then listed below, that was skills I needed to improve upon. So cold calling. I also needed to learn to bridge the gap between emailing somebody and actually getting a meeting or a phone call with them. So our class goals for this scouting project was to raise money for the Laurel Highlands Council and give disabled scouts the opportunity to go to camp. We also were spreading awareness for this cause and the benefits of giving these children an opportunity to thrive in a scouting environment. My personal goals for this project was to at least reach $350 in donations, which I did do. I made it to 360, and also improve my sales skills. So practice prospecting, cold calling, emailing, working on thank you messages and stuff like that. So for the prospecting side of things, I, in the beginning, created and then refined a list of 30 prospects. I primarily did this through family and friends to start, see who they knew, and then I went on to coworkers, and then finally I went through LinkedIn and found West Virginia alumni and people who might have a shared interest in this cause as well. So either if they were a member of the Scouts or just an alumni of the university. And then I went on to gather their name, their phone number, and their email address just to have it all in one place. I put this in a spreadsheet just so I could start the process of reaching out either through emailing a DM or actually just cold calling them. And then I also started to prepare my scripts. For my scripts, I, in the beginning, just polished everything. So I had one for emails, one for if I was calling somebody, and then one if I was just sending a DM either on Facebook or LinkedIn. I then gave a background on who I was and my reasoning for messaging them. I touched on the fact that this was for a sales project through my sales class and that I was a senior student at West Virginia University. I then went on to concisely explain what the fundraiser was for and why the cause was important to me, as well as our class as a whole. And then at the bottom, I asked for a quick phone call if they were interested in more details and to get a little bit of a history on what they do for their professional background. For the actual cold calling process, I went through my list from the emails at first and checked whether or not they had responded to the email. If they had responded to my email, I called them first. So after that, I talked to them about their career background, questions about what brought them into that industry, what they like and don't like. If it pertained to sales in particular, I would ask them questions related to that. And then I went on to give them further information about our scouting project and what the money would be used for, how this was helping these scouts, and the importance of the cause itself. And then towards the end, I would ask for a donation. If they were interested, we would do it on the phone. If they seemed a little apprehensive or needed some time to think, I would just offer to send them the link through email. And I then went on to repeat this process with the prospects that hadn't answered my email itself, but just thought if I cold called, maybe they would answer. I normally would just leave them a voicemail, or sometimes I actually would get an answer. For the thank you messages, this was done towards the end of the project. I went back through my spreadsheet and pulled out the names that had donated, and I wrote them a personalized message thanking them for their donation and what this meant to the cause, and also just their time in general, answering emails, taking phone calls. And I also expressed how their donation would have a lasting impact on the Scouts. For what did and didn't work, for the prospects that I knew prior, it was a little bit easier. So I usually would just send them an email or a DM, and that was enough to get them to have a conversation, especially if it was a friend of a friend or a family member or prior coworker. They knew who I was, and it was a lot easier. I also gained most of my donations that way. Prospects I didn't know, I would email and DM. That sometimes worked. A lot of the times I did not get a response, but it wasn't 100% that I didn't. And then I normally would just cold call and see if they would answer or if they would at least let me leave a voicemail. And then my final donation was $360. I had 7 donors. Towards the end, once I had pretty much gone through all my prospects and my initial 30 of that spreadsheet, I posted the link on Facebook and also gained a few donations that way. So that was another avenue I ended up taking. But overall, I learned a lot from this project. I gained a lot of skills in cold calling, especially at Megacorp. That was a huge boost in my knowledge of doing something that I wasn't really that familiar with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you.